Hello and welcome back to another primary prediction. This is Lalo covering the South Carolina primary that is going to happen on Saturday, February 29th of 2020. Now, I have a prediction for this. Now, this is going to be very, very, very clear. Now, when we look at the RCP polls, we're seeing Sanders at 29.5, 18.4 for Biden, Bloomberg at third, Warren at fourth, Buttigieg at fifth, Klobuchar at sixth, Steyer at seventh, Gabbard, irrelevant, useless Gabbard, again at eight. Okay? Now, that is the general scope for what we're talking about here. Now, let's talk about what the RCP polls, the cumulative average is for a place like South Carolina. Now, for a long time, South Carolina has been considered a firewall for Joseph Biden. And to keep this completely honest, I believe that it is too. And if he loses this, I think he has no chance. And he is foreseen to be exactly what I think it is, and that is to say that it is going to be a complete loss for him. This is why it is so crucial for him to go ahead and win this state. And this is critical for him to succeed in Super Tuesday. And now, whatever happens during Super Tuesday is basically going to guarantee who's going to be the front runner for the rest of the race. So this is extremely important, okay? So this is the most important primary this rotation cycle, okay? Now, we're having Biden at 36.8%, Sanders at 24%, Steyer at 12%, Buttigieg at 11%, Warren at 7%, Klobuchar at 5, useless Gabbard at 3. Okay? Now that Gabbard support can be thrown away. She's going to get less than 1% support, I believe. Where would that go? I think it would go to maybe Sanders, okay? Now, what we see in the graphs is going to be a very simple thing, and that is to say that it is a sharp jump for Biden since last week, and also an increase for Sanders. But Buttigieg is steeply increasing, and he's picking up the slack that Steyer has had, where he's jumped from an 18 to a 12 average on the RCP poll. Klobuchar is not doing great. Warren is waffling, and useless Gabbard is useless as ever. Now, let me tell you something. This ostensibly means that I think that Biden will win. Now, by how much? I think Biden will win by 35%. Sanders at probably 25%. Steyer at 7%. Buttigieg at 12%. Warren at 6%. Klobuchar at 6.5%. Useless Gabbard at less than 2%. Okay? This is going to be a big win for Biden. Double digits. He needs it to be a big win. Why? He needs that momentum so that he can win this election. And to be very precise, I do think that it is in the best interest of Sanders for Biden to win. Why? We need Biden. Okay, look, socialism can only prevail in this party if the moderates are to be weakened and fractured. This is only to be done by having a Biden versus Bloomberg versus Klobuchar versus Buttigieg competition. Sanders has the momentum to win for sure, and surely it's been falling off a cliff what his forecasted projection is for the delegates, that he will win. But to have a chance in hell, he's going to need Biden weakened, because if Biden has no competition, he could crush Sanders with all that moderate coalition, okay? Now, this is if he's going to be Machiavellian. If he's going to be an idiot and stubborn, he's going to try his damnedest to win South Carolina. But virtually anything that happens between now and 24 hours from now is going to be irrelevant in terms of the polls or the actual effect. So, this is to say that right now, 538.com has no one winning, so a contested convention at about 51% of a chance, so 1 in 2 of nobody winning. This is a contested convention. That means that anybody but probably Sanders could win, because it's rigged. Now, Sanders, he's at 1 in 3 chance to win, okay? And he used to be at almost half of support for him to win the majority outright and not have to deal with the DNC's rigging of the election. But now he's falling off like a rock. Biden is surging, and Bloomberg is crashing. Now, what we could use here is a crashing Bloomberg and a rising Biden because of the South Carolina bounce that is much needed to keep his campaign alive. These 2 points in the graph can meet in the middle, and we could have a Biden above Sanders, and the contested convention lose over half of its probability so that we could have a moderate be the nominee. This is insanely important so that there could be a Donald Trump that is more plagued with more swing states with less of an electoral advantage. And now, people are going to say that they're going to really put this in the press for the next 5 days, between now and Super Tuesday, that Biden's doing great, that he is resurging, that he is rising, that Aryan Joe Biden is going to be the nominee. The polls are going to say so. Now, this is super important. Bloomberg needs to drop out for Biden to win outright, but to stay in the race, he needs to win South Carolina. Now, there's a lot of polls, there's a lot of predictions as to what the margin will be. The margin is insanely important so that Biden can survive. Now, to another point. Why did I predict that Steyer is going to lose a lot of support? Well, I think he's going to lose a lot of support because he has been underperforming in Iowa, New Hampshire, you're talking as well as Nevada dramatically, okay? You should have been getting double the points that he did, but he simply got crushed. Even after putting millions of dollars in ads, even in Spanish, he was so desperate. Now, I haven't heard that he's been airing ads in Ebonics in South Carolina, but trust me, he would do that if it would get him more black support. This is why Biden was going against Steyer in the debate, because he needs that moderate support to get the margins up, because he knows he's going to win anyway, okay? There's a 95% chance in the polls right now, in 538.com, that Biden wins. Now, there's always that off chance, that 5% chance that Sanders wins, Biden dies. This is what's so liquid about this election, is that a lot of these front runners could die. Bloomberg's 78, Sanders is 78, Trump's 73, Warren is 70, and Biden is 78 or 7. Point is, these people are very old, and they could definitely have another heart attack. Sanders has already proven this. Anything could happen, really. And so I wouldn't be surprised if Biden drops out from a heart attack, okay? Now, the implications for Steyer underperforming is that if he is smart, he's going to drop out and sober up and say, I'm going to endorse Biden, and I will propel him and give him whatever billionaire money I have to help him, okay? And I think this is really crucial, right? Because this is the point of Steyer and Bloomberg. It's good to say we're going to spend $200 million in the swing state and change the House legislature, all of that, in this local level, and support senators that are running there in congressional districts, too. Congressmen, right? That's exactly what Bloomberg did in 2016 and 2018. He should have done this time, but no, he's going to come and lose. Steyer should be a man and say, I can help another way by the sidelines, not taking up support from the moderates, which is only going to guarantee a Sanders win in the nomination and a Trump landslide in the general election, okay? And with Buttigieg is very in particular important. Psych, no, he isn't. He is running about 4th in the polls or 5th, and he simply does not have too much of a chance here. Why? Well, the black support is not there. He has an ostensibly pretty good boomer college-educated type of vote with the whites, but that's not going to get him far in Super Tuesday, which is why he's not going to win in any state, I'm pretty sure, outright, which in particular is important. I don't think he could even win Indiana. Why? Because he does not have that national support, nor even the state support that he would need to win a state, let alone the whole country. He's delusional. I think he should drop out and say, I'm going to endorse Biden and become his VP. That's the way to go. Warren is going to underperform. I don't know why she's still in the race. I think she's positioning herself because of that debate to come out as a sort of like balancing out of Sanders and to opportunistically become the VP. Look, I don't think that she's willing to take anything less than the VP slot or just lose because she's already a senator. She has nothing to lose at this point. Realistically speaking, the only step up from a senator at her, later age would be being the VP of an even older person taking over for him inevitably when Sanders dies, and his little stupid revolution doesn't really last long when you have a neoliberal sellout like Warren to take a spot. This is the role that she should fulfill. She should, if anything, stack on her support on Sanders, which could probably win them the election, but she's too delusional, I suppose, to drop out so far. Or she's waiting to leverage whatever little support she still has with her less than 100 chance of winning the election to give Bernie Sanders the supermajority he needs to avoid the DNC rigging the election so that she could benefit her own life. Because this is what it turns out to be. All these politicians are opportunistic. They're all going to leverage whatever they can get to have their hands on more power than they already have. Now, Klobuchar. Klobuchar is at 5.3% in this poll in the RCP average. This is really not astounding. She's doing maybe slightly better than she was before, but that's not saying much at all. Now, I think that she's seen better days even in the polling in South Carolina, peaking at 8%. Now she's at 5.3%. And I don't see her picking up too much support. She might get a 2% bump because of Warren floundering or something like that, but there's not too much of a lane for her. I mean, her role could be fulfilled better by a Buttigieg or a Biden. Even though theoretically she's a stronger candidate than Buttigieg, but at least he's a man. But at least she isn't a homosexual either, so there's that. She is also, I think, looking for maybe Secretary of State for Biden or Buttigieg or VP. She's holding on so that she could wait until Minnesota, maybe win that, have several dozen delegates at that point, and then say, okay, this is what you need to get over the top Biden. I'll give it to you, or Buttigieg, or somebody like that, or Bloomberg even, so that she could win. Or there's that cynical hope that she's 59. She will definitely survive the election cycle, right? God forbid that she doesn't. And she will, what? Maybe Biden dies, she takes over that mantle. Buttigieg, I think, still has that cynical support too, saying any of these top contenders could really die. And that's not to say that, old people are bound to die, but I mean, yes, okay, fine. You're 77 years old, Biden. You could drop at any moment. You know what? If I were Gabbard even, I'd say, well, there's a good chance that somebody dies here and I can pick up support. Like, the 1968 primary, I believe, was when Bobby Kennedy ran. He was doing well, and then he died, and then Herbert Humphrey was able to clutch that nomination for the Democrats. That's exactly what I'm referring to when it goes to the point of this lower tier of people like Warren, Buttigieg, and Klobuchar to stay in the race, because there's that faint hope, which is really a realistic goal, of them being killed or dying, at the top there. Gabbard, I really resent her for staying in the race this long. I mean, really, she has no chance. And she's just being stubborn, and she's taking support that could be going someplace else and supporting Bernie. If she's smart, she would have said, she's not even running for Congress again. What is wrong with this woman? And you know what? She could get primaried for sure. So, okay, fine. What she should have done is she should have said, I will endorse Bernie, campaign for Bernie, with the caveat that I could be maybe Secretary of State or National Security Advisor or Secretary of Defense for Bernie. Or she could do that and run for governor of Hawaii whenever that comes up. And then she would have power. But I don't know what the hell she's doing. She even endorsed Bernie in 2016, but that mattered nothing. She's from Hawaii. What good does that make? Virtually nothing. Okay? That's my prediction. My prediction is, of course, Biden at first, big margin. Sanders second, respectable margin, given that it's South Carolina. Steyer underperforms. Buttigieg overperforms slightly. Warren underperforms substantially. Klobuchar overperforms slightly. Gabbard underwhelmingly performs. Okay, that is what I think is going to happen. Will there be write-in ballots for Bloomberg? I bet there's going to be a couple hundred. There were several, I think, for Bloomberg in the open primary in New Hampshire. Could this happen again? Yes. Does that mean anything? No. This is very interesting how this outcome can, completely change the dynamics. Okay. Now, thank you guys for watching. I get my inspiration from YouTubers like Red Eagle Politics, people that, look into certain graphs and really analyze this data and just prove up and down that, the dynamics for this are extremely fluid, very interesting. Now, thank you guys for watching. Like and subscribe. I appreciate comments, likes or whatever you want to do to express what you think about the video, because I get that I could be wrong, right? I'm a genius at this thing, but, I've been slightly wrong before. And, Biden has a record for underperforming. So thank you guys. See you later.